Hello, and welcome back to Strange Hungers. Last we left off, the party had narrowly defeated an undead monstrosity claiming dominion over the previously sacrosanct Temple of the Forgotten, leaving it in disarray and decay with the unholy rituals that he and his disciples had begun to complete in the storage chambers of this cathedral. After that narrow escape, sending him back into ash, the party took an uneasy rest in the next chamber of this holy place, the Forgotten Crypt, a place that holds many memories for our paladin. It was revealed as well that Barden was wild-touched, a term here meaning that the monstrosities of this world affect her in some way, that she is in some way monstrous, although not all of our party members would agree with that label. You found your way, most of you, into an uneasy rest, here in an area that seems less infected by whatever kind of rot had touched the foundations of this place. But you do see, as you fall into rest by the light of some candles lit around you, still cracked stone walls, cold mausoleum, gravestones, water features, carpets. There is a quiet, cold air to this place that you're not sure comes entirely from the presence of the Father of Rot here previously. Noish, you don't need to sleep the entire night. So what are you doing when you complete your trance?
Oish rises out of their trance, an unfamiliar book still in their lap. Unfamiliar not to them, but not Darren. And they shut it, and seeing that everyone else still seems to be fairly asleep, will take out Darren instead and start speaking to him telepathically so as not to disrupt the rest of the people that are sleeping. And say, well, have you gotten any rest, or have you been up this whole time?
I've been awake.
I think you should see from what just happened that it's going to be fine.
Are you lying to me?
I am telling what I would like to be as much of a truth as you would.
I feel uneasy with these people, these strangers.
Well, what would you propose we do?
I don't really want to propose anything. I'm still interested in these secrets and experiences. They just keep hurting you.
Oish kind of pinches their brow a little bit and sighs and says, Darren, if we're going to be out more, there are a few things, unfortunately, that you're going to have to get used to. And one of them is that sometimes people hurt you, and you still have to work with them.
I feel like you've said as much. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Forever. They bite back something that may have been a little more dark than what they end up saying, And they say, it always ends eventually, Darren.
Can you try to promise me something?
Can try.
Don't ask me to run away when you're in danger.
Why do you want me to promise that?
I have never known a life without you, and I don't plan on it.
Darren, you realize that at some point you will probably outlive me.
Not while I have a choice about it. And you gave me that choice.
I can make as much of a promise as I've ever made, but there may be times when you running away when I am in danger is what saves us both.
Semantics. You know what I mean.
Now, we both live and die by semantics, Darren.
I'm clever enough to know when heading in a strategic direction is different than running away.
You know I'll never make you do anything you don't want to do.
I know that.
All right. Oish takes out the tooth from the Father of Rot and stares at it for a moment, then gives Darren a little smile and says, how would you like to do a little research? Maybe a little creation.
Oh, it has been too long.
And over the next couple of hours, even up to when everyone wakes up, you'll see this happening. When you wake up, you see that Oish has this tooth held up by some kind of invisible force. And has, I mean, you've seen her unseen servant. You can guess that it's probably by way of that. And they have Darren open, and these spectral runes are kind of swirling around in the air as they focus very hard on this creepy-ass tooth.
Excellent. Pooja. Kiara took a level in cleric, correct?
Yes.
When you fall into rest, nestled in Barden's arms, Kiara, the cold of this temple fades away. Dark stone, cold, 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 walls that echo. And you begin to hear a ringing in your mind. Turns into a chime, turns into the joyful sound of metal on metal, bells ringing in tandem, music swelling, pleasant scents, incense, cinnamon, and honey. And you are in a temple. The walls are colorful, inlaid with brilliant patterns of semi-precious stones, gold, even a few tiny glistening diamonds. that are inset into the murals here. Are there any that you recognize in particular? Any images that Kiara is fond of?
I think Kiara's personal favorites are the murals where it's carvings of goddesses and deities, and the jewels are adorning them in the way jewels would in real life. So you've got these beautiful carvings with these semi-precious stones as crowns, as necklaces, as earrings, and it's a celebration more than just decoration.
Beautiful. You find yourself walking down the halls of this temple, open air, series after series of scalloped archways. Even though the temperature is warm, it is cool in the shade of these marble walls. The music plays in the distance. You hear far-off dancing, conversations, possibly an open courtyard where a celebration is occurring. You are slightly hungry, a little bit tired. You walk towards this courtyard, towards the banquet that you hear. Seeing in the distance the setting sun, as the way the walls are arranged catches it, illuminating where there is white space on these walls with a brilliant red and gold color. Your skin shines. As you step forward into the bright light of the courtyard and your eyes adjust, you do not see people dancing, nor tables laden with food. No one claps their hands. There are no healers bent over sleeping patients. Instead, this courtyard is barren. The walls are bleached and cracked. And there is a fountain in the middle that trickles a blood red color.
Kiara looks around and approaches the fountain.
As you bend over, looking towards the fountain, the liquid that comes out is thick. You can feel the heat emanating from it as you step closer, although it doesn't char or burn your skin. And the coldness of the walls, the coolness where it had been a relief, now that it chills you, this fountain you step towards is a comfort, like a hearth. When you look into the fountain, the face you see is stretched and distorted. Thin pupils, fur. You see what you think is Agnita looking up at you, reaching a hand out over the water, and you see a paw of your patron looking up.
Can Kiara tell in this moment whether this blood is fresh?
I will take a wisdom check from you.
All right. Okay. That's a 6.
A 6? Hard to tell. All you know of it is that it is warm.
Kiara's gonna reach forward and just draw a hand across the surface of the water where the reflection is.
Mm-hmm. You disturb the reflection, it ripples out and fades. And as you pull your hand away, you can tell it should have scalded the flesh from your bones as you look down. The blood begins to boil, the fountain shaking with the force of it. But once again, as you pull your hand away where it touched the water, flames begin to lick around your fingers.
Is this like eminently gonna explode?
The trembles do begin to speed up and increase. You do think that some kind of explosion is coming.
Kiara stays where they are.
As the stones around you shatter, and a uproarious mountain of blood erupts from the center of this courtyard. You bathe in it like sunlight. It tosses your hair back from your shoulders. Your skirts wave with the force of it. But you are not pushed backward. You bathe in boiling blood. And when your vision finally clears from these holy waters, a deep warmth inside your chest, your own blood boiling, a sweet, warm ecstasy that promises you there is no place in this world you can go where cold can touch deep inside.
Does Kiara get warm in real life?
I do like that. I do think that, yeah, Kiara is sort of a furnace this evening in this cold temple. That is where your dream concludes, a sign from a particular god. And of course, you do wake up with that level up. So, party begins to awake. Matthias, how do you sleep?
Almost not at all. As I said last time, Matthias takes one single step inside, gets right inside, and then I think he drops his things and makes that his spot. He doesn't move any deeper in. Usually, he will doff his armor. He'll take either first or last watch in order to make it a little bit easier, because it takes him like 15 minutes. And but this time he doesn't move to take any of it off, and when it comes time to fall asleep, he simply lays back on the ground, still in his armor, looking up at the ceiling, folds his arms over his torso and closes his eyes and slips in and out, but never actually falls all the way asleep.
All right, so for this rest, you will level up, but you only gain the benefits of a short rest, not a long rest, as we've established.
Yeah.
Okay. Then all of you come to consciousness. There's no sunlight that reaches the inside of the Forgotten Crypt, although there are windows from what you might see sort of underneath this balcony, or on the walls, is more that there have been sort of carved out spaces where windows might be, and just torches or candles have been set behind them with panes of stained glass. So if you were to swing open that little stained glass window and light a candle and close it again, it would look like colorful light was emanating from them. But you guys are underground at this point. So what wakes you up is just sort of people beginning to move around when your tired bodies finally allow you to pull yourselves out of dreaming.
I imagine that Awaish has probably seen that Matthias has been up for a while, and if he ever glanced over, would just give him kind of like a look, being like, I see that you're not sleeping.
Yeah, well, probably at some point during the night, you can hear him like shifting because he's wearing his armor. It's fairly clear,
Right. Yeah.
very uncomfortable.
Clank, clank.
So like anytime he sort of shifts, you can just hear it throughout the night. And probably when he heard them like talking, he would like look over. But then once they look at him, they would.
Yeah, they were fully talking telepathically, so you wouldn't have heard it. But
great.
you probably would have seen when they started getting up to some shit, and
Yeah.
that's when they would have given you
The shuffling. Then he would look over and then like not really say anything and just turn back up and close his eyes again. But yeah, I think that they'd know he's not really sleeping. And he gets up and I think still stays and just calls from where he is. This, I think, is the room that I was looking for. I just have some things to collect here. And perhaps then we check out the rest of the temple just to make sure that everything is fine, and we can leave.
Things to collect.
Sorry, say that again?
Things to collect.
I explained this place is one where followers keep memories. My mother brought me here some time ago. It's been a while. And I kept some of my own here. After I left home, I did not have access to the family crypt. And I think I'll take this opportunity to collect what's mine.
You're keeping them for good, then? Oh, sorry.
No, please continue.
There's like a long moment of silence, wearing the typical expression that you would associate with thinking real hard. And then he just says, "We'll see. But I plan to, at least."
Yes, you do know this is the Forgotten Crypt. There are a number of areas that you can access from this crypt that lead down to different specific family crypts. So, as far as you can recollect, which is actually difficult because of the nature of this place, this particular room connects to a variety of areas known as retrieval chambers, which is where the things you're looking for might actually be stored. Towards the back area of this room, there are a number of different family crypts where you can go to retrieve things. So this is not specifically the room where your items might have been kept.
Yeah.
It contains entrances to many family crypts.
He'll just say it's a little bit further in and wait for people to get ready. And if everybody gets their stuff together and is going to follow him, you don't have to, but if you follow him, as they start to walk, he will also say, "I haven't done this in quite some time, but I believe I'll be absorbed in the task at hand. So, just keep your eyes open while I'm doing this."
I get a perception check from everyone once they're awake.
Oh, he's not drinking any tea today. I don't think.
Oh, and Matthias, did you want to do that perception check for when you healed Awaish that I forgot to have you do?
It was a perception.
Yeah, or a medicine, either one that you'd like.
Definitely not medicine. I'll go with perception. I rolled a 7, 8, 9, so that's a 10.
I don't feel like it's too, unless you were like particularly stressed at that moment, I don't feel like it's too hard to notice. It's very weird. What do you think, Alex?
I think
Whatever
I'm
you
actually
like.
going to say that I don't think he notices it this time. Just because it was a very, very stressful moment of them having collapsed into the bridge and then a bunch of other stuff happening. And I think there might be a more interesting
Good
moment
shout.
for him to have noticed it.
Jesus.
I got a dirty 20 on my perception.
19.
Same. Dirty 20.
Okay, fantastic.
For my roll for the day, I'm rolling at disadvantage because it's a right. I rolled a 10 on the die,
Okay.
so
Day of tens.
shocking.
Does that mean you fail?
No, I think I succeed.
I think. Oh, you're right. I think you succeed. Okay, great.
Right? Hold on. Hold on.
You double check that. I have a dirty 20, 19. What did Taz get for perception?
16.
Nice.
And I got a 20 for that perception check.
Nice. And
Yeah.
Vice got an 18. So
Very percepty lot this morning.
you guys are fucking killing it.
We're on edge.
You are. So as you guys wake up, collect your things here in the Forgotten Crypt, I'll just tell you a number of things. Awaish, up here on this little balcony where you are, there is actually a book, a tomb. It's some kind of collection of texts and prayers related to the Raven Cycle and Lydear. So just a variety of common sayings. If you want to grab it, you're welcome to do so. It's called Hymns of the Martyr.
Research, baby.
There's that book there. As I've said, a number of candelabras, candles, tombstones. Towards the entrance center area, there's another one of those water features that you had seen when you first entered the cathedral. This one is not oozed or tainted or blood-colored or anything like that. You begin to, looking around, recognize, again, symbols of Lydear. You see scales. You see many of the statues here have their eyes covered, similar to how you saw the tiefling had their eyes bound and covered, the one that was hanging outside the gates of Castle. Family crests, names that are written here. I think both Barden and Matthias might just recognize some older family names. Nothing that would stand out, not, Sir Dux in particular, but maybe cousins of some of the noble families. This is a place that it's considered very honorable to lay your dead. Also of note is that the tombstones to the left, there's this little open area. Many of them are small. This seems to be possibly a graveyard where children are buried, maybe even very young children. As you step forward, there are a number of these strange glass sort of constructs. They're dome-like. Some of them are very small. Some of them are larger, that are set on altars that are set to the side. Most of them are empty. There is one towards the center. And flickering, floating within this sort of dome salt glass, almost like a curling wisp of some kind of purple smoke that writhes inside and glows. As I said, stained glass windows that depict images of both Lydear and birds in flight. A woman with hands over the eyes, but a fond smile, images of folded hands, you see. You even see a few images here in the stained glass windows of what appear to be animals that are missing their eyes, like a rabbit that just doesn't have any eyes, or a cat similarly doesn't have any eyes, but they are curling, playful depictions. They do not seem to be unhappy or uncomfortable at all. Anything
Arlene's
else?
definitely sketching and writing down as she goes, sort of chewing on her pen or her quill, whatever it is.
Considering that very high perception check, if there's anything else that anyone is looking for of note or that they see here in the multiverse map that they want a more intense description of, feel free to let me know.
Not on the multiverse map. Oh, go ahead, Kira.
I passed cast an empty vial
You want to pick
on
it
the
up?
Yeah. Come on,
You can
go
grab
down.
that.
Yeah. I have a vial now.
Kira. I'm right here. Oh, that's how y'all got up there. I couldn't get up there before.
It keeps running away from me when I pick it up. Or maybe I'm just picking up a lot of things. I don't know. But I would like to examine this vial in my hand.
Absolutely. This is similar to some of those domes that I had mentioned, but much smaller. I'm going to turn intensity on your shield down.
Yeah.
I wondered what that was.
Damn.
Since you're just glowing.
Damn,
So
son,
shiny.
Where did you find this?
There we are. So the vial that you pick up, it's not really like a corked vial. It looks more like the bottom kind of slides open, like slides open or rotates, so sort of like a dome, and then slides open and closed. And as you sort of pick it up, there's nothing inside it, but it's very, I would say, like clean and polished. Like these are well taken care of, but there just are a bunch of them around the room in different places, like on tombs, like maybe they were set down in the middle of something.
Okay. I've accidentally picked up way too many things. I have like 4 candles and a candelabra in my inventory now.
I've just spotted some like books to the left. Can I see what those are? If there are anything?
Absolutely. As you pick up these books. And look through them, some of them, most of them are the same, actually, kind of like a stack, not really of pamphlets because they are bound, but they're pretty small, and it's what you would also assume to kind of go with, the book that Away should found if you took a look at it, where they are similar prayers for people who come to this. So these might be passed out for a sermon kind of thing. There are also just some illustrations that are sketched out in here, and places where the paper is raised slightly or indented with fantasy braille, basically. So you could read these prayers even if you are blind. Going along with some of these books, you begin to notice as you pick up the books that places on benches or on walls also have some of these carved in runes, with ones that are slightly inset or outset. So you could trail your hand along the wall and read prayers if you were blind from benches. Yeah.
I love carved. Can I take the one that has the braille, the carved in it? And I can maybe read it later and have a go at doing it myself.
Absolutely.
It's always good to have extra info.
And similarly, the original book is called Hymns of the Martyr. This one is just called Hymns.
Oh, go ahead, VJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex. Over here by the tombstones, is that blood? Is that like
what you see, Taz, as you are examining this area is that the stone, the marble of this area has actually been sort of dug out. You guys are underground, right? So this is a plot of earth where people have been laid to rest and buried. So not blood. And you also specifically note that the large amounts of blood or whatever dark liquid you had seen in previous chambers, again, has not reached this area. There's no blood on tombstone, although there are some cracks in the stone and the walls here. You do not see places where, things have been oozing up.
do I recognize any of the names on the tombstones?
That's going to take you an investigation check.
All right, let's do it. Oh, fuck yeah. 24.
24. Yes, you do. As you are navigating through and looking across these tombstones, running your hands over them, most of these names would be unfamiliar to you, but there is one name that stops you in your tracks. It says Lucas Marquardt. The gravestone is very small.
I think I stare down at it, and then like my eyes go searching for where Matthias might be.
Matthias, as people are looking around, you'll notice he has moved further back, and he is not looking at anything to the point of being conspicuous. Perhaps not at like
Maybe
first glance, but he
whistling
is
a little bit.
he's like watching people, but you only see his back, and he's not really looking at anything else. He's just waiting.
Yeah, my eyes will just look at Matthias for a long moment before looking back at the tombstone, kind of nodding slightly to himself and then walking away.
All right. When everyone is done.
I didn't get to
yes.
anything.
So sorry. Please go ahead. Yes.
I don't know if mine even works. Oase just wants to try to differentiate the difference between what was here already and what has been changed.
Okay. Give me intelligence.
Okay. Flat intelligence roll.
Flat intelligence, yeah.
Not too smart today. That's a 13.
13, the DC was 11. It's not too hard. What you think has changed is you did note the crack before in the previous wall. There are more cracks in these walls that seem a bit unnatural. Kind of the way you might note that an old building just has places where things naturally settle. The cracks that kind of go through don't actually follow like, where a stone looks a little bit lopsided, but just crack through and shatter like it happened all at once. The vials and things that have been just laid around, even certain candles that look like they maybe have been moved from their places, it's easier to notice and pick up sort of the story of what's happened here because so many things in this place seem like they have just stayed put for a long time. Like there's dust around that central dome where it hasn't been like moved or touched in a while. So things were put down in the middle of something here. The book that you had found when you were up on that balcony was laid open to a certain page, like it was being read. So you do think that something was, prayer or something was going on in this room before things were startled. It's just not the way that this area appears and is treated. It's not like a big scattered rush mess or anything like that. But most of what has changed is just that things are a little bit disorderly because people were interrupted.
That reminds Oesh, and they will go over to Matthias. Anyone else who has made their way back over to him would be able to hear them say this. But they say, it might be wise to carry out whatever business happens quickly. If this place falls, I have reason to believe it will be eaten.
Eaten?
Yes.
By what?
Another force.
All right.
And if we were to stay while that happened...
I get the implication.
Yes.
Then we'll move quickly.
No idea of what they mean.
Are you stepping over? Who was close enough to hear that as well? Was it?
Oh, it's about movement. Probably
Arden. Okay. You can give me. Actually, you don't need to make a roll for this, Barden. You know what Oesh means since you grew up there. The tomb loft is, as far as you know it and have heard it mentioned, it is not just a library, but it is a place that collects dead things. And by dead things, I do not just mean artifacts. I mean locations specifically in Skyholm. So the tomb loft, as this crazy extraplanar maze library thing that it is, you can wander through that library and find your way into a desecrated battlefield. A place where an entire city previously was razed to the ground, and now just the aftermath of that has fallen and collapsed into this planar location. So, yeah, if this temple falls, especially as a historical landmark in Skyholm, it will likely be documented by the Tomb Loft, taken into it.
Yeah, as much as I miss Siren, don't want to see him that quick.
Are we ready?
Did you have something to say, VJ? No?
I got my answer. I'm good.
All right. Then your family crypt, Matthias Markhart, is right behind that statue at the end.
Yeah, make me go into it?
If you want to.
Let's go.
Oh, is this
We
this
can
a little
travel.
portal? Oh boy.
Yep.
New map, new map.
There we go. I forgot to bring Vice once again.
Oh no.
That's
It's
okay.
okay.
She's here in
She's
spirit.
hunting rats.
Damn, Matthias, you got this whole crypt all to yourself?
She went back to the boat, so
She knows that there's another boss coming.
I will go back and get Darren, but I think we'll just say that Darren is tucked away unless you want him to be out right now. All right, this is the retrieval chamber of the Fallow and Markhart families. They lie together here, in life as they are in death.
Still focused. Just gonna start heading down and looking for where his might be kept or where he might be able to reach them.
Mm-hmm. I think you would recognize your own handwriting, even though you don't remember writing it. As you first step inside, rows of these vials are set on tables. To your right and to your left, you see tombstones with names. Fallow, Fallow, Falsire, Markhart, Markhart, Markhart. Ancestors of both the Sir Dux and the Sir, and those who serve that Sir Dux, your family. Some other names, a few knights maybe, of the Fallow Knights who earned their place here in this crypt. But the first memory that you see and recognize is right to your left as you enter. And your own childish handwriting has written your name on it.
This one right here?
Yep.
And it's like the handwriting of a little boy, sort of a little chicken scratch, a little wiggly with big letters.
Yeah.
All right, first one.
Vice puts her hand on your shoulder. Have you told her about this place at all?
Oh yeah, I think she knows everything.
Puts her hand on your shoulder. She says, "Do you want to sit down?"
Might be a good idea. Might as well.
I do not think these musty old folks will mind you using their final resting place as a place to rest your ass.
I'm gonna grab that. I think there's a vial standing there, right? Something like that. And I'll go sit.
Nice. When Kiara's gonna approach you as you go to sit and say, before you do whatever you're going to do, and they're gonna reach out and just gently brush a hand on your shoulder and close their eyes and mutter something under their breath. And I don't even know if the heat, it's a small amount of heat, not much, but they're going to cast guidance on you.
Nothing to worry about. Just a memory.
Just in
And
case.
I'm gonna open it.
Sit down on a tomb with this vial in your hands. The curling mist inside it seems to react to your touch, almost like a small animal that curls into it. Where your hand is on the glass, the mist presses up against it. So you reach down and slide open that little bottom part. Again, you don't remember having done this before, but it feels natural to do so. You open it, and the mist swells out. And for a second, you all see Matthias's face is wreathed, clouded, and covered in that color. And you are pulled back helplessly into the past. Then, as your eyes close, cold for a moment, you open them again. And there's this almost hazy kind of introduction. You find yourself back in a body that is clumsy and small. The corridors of the Temple of the Forgotten loom above you. You are no longer strong, but thick, shaggy-haired, youthful, tan, much more tan than you are now. Your hair is light and golden, not bleached white. Freckles cover your nose, and you are holding hands with your mother, Lady Larissa, as she walks you down the steps. Leans over and says, "This is a very important moment. You're going to do great."
He squeezes her hand.
You honor him, Matthias, with your gift. Walk through the encoding chambers. Your mother has told you to focus on and think about the event that recently occurred, even though it's hard. Ladies in white, with their faces covered, gently touch your shoulder as you walk through those initial narrow corridors. Then you step through an archway with your mother into that grand cathedral, not as it was, rotted, decayed, stinking of death. But despite the cool light and the cold stone, it is bright. The candlelight swells everywhere. People walk down past the water feature that burbles and reflects. They are holding their own candles. People step between with their heads bowed, extinguish their own candle for a moment, lost in thought for minutes. And then someone else, one of those nuns, those sisters, steps over, places a hand on their shoulder, offers them words of comfort, and relights their candle for them. They straighten up. You see wistful smiles on faces as their grief is shared between the lumen. Towards the end of the storage chamber, your mother asks you to kneel. A runic circle. Candles set around you. And a beautiful young woman of pale skin You don't see her eyes. They're covered with a short veil. But she smiles at you to comfort you. And she says, "You are being very brave. You are showing honor to the Lady of Light." You kneel here. And the ritual begins. And you remember now what was taken from that memory, what was taken from your mind as you prayed. It steals your breath away. The force of this memory slotting back inside you, filling a gap that you didn't know existed. Something you didn't know you were mourning until it came back. You were 7 when your brother was born. He was small, frail, pale, with dark hair so unlike your own, dark eyes. And your mother was sick for a long time after his birth. He cries often. You hear it ringing down the halls of your family home. Nurses often go in and out of Lucas's room. But you do hold him. One moment. Your mother sitting beside you. You remember his body was warm. But he is sick a long time. Grows slowly. And then it gets worse. Healers coming to the house often, every other day. Your brother begins to seize, coughing. Larissa doesn't sleep anymore. Dark circles appearing under her eyes. You don't see her cry. It's only Lucas you see cry, but her eyes are always red, like she's stopped the moment before you walk into a room. 1 week before his birthday, you're training, even as young as you are. Not yet a strong teen, but just this small, chubby kid who loves his baby brother. Step over to his crib. What do you see inside it?
A small body lying still for once, like he's fallen asleep. But when I look at his face, his eyes are open. And he's looking at me, but he can't see me.
Smile comes across your face. Your brother is drooling, white and pink, and his skin is blue. You feel a presence over your shoulder. Looking back, you see Jerome, a servant of the house. He puts his hand on your shoulder, turns you away.
I don't understand.
He's just sleeping. You hear the voice like an echo.
He looked at me.
He pushes you outside of the room. The door swings shut. There are footsteps that run down the corridors. You don't make it out the door of the house. as you run away from understanding until you hear a long, drawn-out scream of agony from your mother. You open your eyes, Matthias, and you are back in the retrieval chamber. And the grief of that moment that has sat inside your body, unfelt and unremembered, for 20 years, hits you all at once.
He slides the vial shut. There is a shake in his body that is very, very just almost imperceptible, except that his hair twitches as it's messier than it usually is. And he doesn't look at anyone, just chin tucked almost into his chest as he was looking down and away. But the tendons in his neck are standing out against the skin. And then he's gonna stand, put the vial back where it was, now empty, and just move along to the next one. Actually moving fairly quickly. Not stopping to reflect, just going on to the next one.
I think it's about 10 or 15 minutes that the rest of you see Matthias just sitting there in silence while mist curls around his head. So if you are to say anything to him or speak, his body doesn't react. He doesn't flinch. Is there anything that anyone else is doing while this is happening?
Barden, sorry, that was very good. Barden definitely sort of, as she sees Matthias begin to very subtly shake, she kind of steps forward, pulls back, and just, if Taz is next to her, she sort of gets Taz's arm and she can't do that now. She can't help him now. She kind of just looks at Kiara and just hopes that they do something.
Kiara is watching very closely. Part fascination, part worry, because Kiara doesn't have much concept of what's happening, but as somebody who is very in tune with their friends, and especially has spent a lot of time watching Matthias, they are just keeping track of things, but also not. They're not gonna step in again yet. Like, basically, like, it's just, we're waiting, we're watching, we're noting. You know, it's like when you watch it's a little bit like a doctor watching their patient fight through what they're fighting through and letting them do it until the help's needed.
Lovely. Yeah. Taz?
I think Taz is beside Barden. And I think there's also a point where probably right before Matthias comes out of it like Taz kind of tenses up as if he's going to step forward or do something, but instead he just pulls out his griffin feather and starts fiddling with it in his hands.
I can
Like-
see that, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Save that for later. Thank you.
Vice paces at first, nervous energy, eventually slowing after 5 minutes or so, and just sits down next to Matthias, not touching him, but starts to clean some blood off of her. Well, not blood. She had rat blood. Starts cleaning some blood off of her rapier, calming herself with the motions of that ritual. I also want to just say to our viewers, these memories do contain some pretty intense moments. So remember to take care of yourselves, check our content warnings. Again, depictions possibly of unhealthy family dynamics, related especially to religion in this case, and young children possibly coming in harm's way. Trying not to be as descriptive as potentially this last memory, but check in with each other, and we're all checking in with each other, so I want to make sure as well that everyone here is doing all right. Yeah. Good shit. Love you guys very much. Matthias, you step over to the next memory, the handwriting that you recognize. This one is a little bit neater. I think you are a bit older, but still, I don't know, maybe 11 or 12. Again, hard to guess your age by that handwriting, but letters are smaller, closer together. Actually, you know what? I think before we step into this memory, might be a good point for a break. So, you will pick up that memory, open it, the mist will wreath you, and before we go into it, we're going to take our 10 minutes here. Yeah, let's do that. That'll be better. Cool, fantastic. All right, then we'll see you guys back in 10 minutes. Take care of yourselves, go get some water, catch your breath, and we'll be back soon.
We love you.
Bye! Welcome back to Strange Hungers. We are back from our little break, diving back into memory. Once again, reminding you guys to be safe, step away from the stream. These memory sequences, again, are a little bit intense, so check our content warning. Be aware related to family dynamics and some difficult memories in Matthias's past. So, love you very much. And as we return, Matthias, the mist wreaths you once again. You begin to smell first incense and wax as this memory begins similarly. This time you are not holding your mother's hand as you walk down the corridors. You are closer to 13 years of age. Chin held a little bit higher, dressed in blues, whites, and armor that is just a little bit too big for you, but has obviously been custom made for a body this size. This time, your mother is quieter. You've done this again and again. You know the rituals. You know the rites. You know how to focus on that memory, holding it at the forefront of your mind, so that when the ritual comes, it is pulled away cleanly, not tugged slowly out of you in pieces. The lumen that surround you are familiar too. You recognize Mr. Franca, an older woman, Lady Laura, who smiles at you as you enter and inclines her head. These women who are some of the most significant solace that your mother has found in recent years have turned her sleepless nights full of tears back into quiet rest. This time, when you kneel, the woman begins to pray as she speaks over you. Maiden martyr, tender keeper, Axiom, oh Axiom, it is by the light of your divine inspiration that we preserve our recollections whole for you. They remain unblemished by the fallibility of flesh and the wearing wheel of time. Through our remembrance, we are consecrated. In our anguish we are sanctified. Your mother repeats after her, a beat behind.
And so does he.
Then you feel it again. The weight of something dropped suddenly down onto your shoulders that you weren't expecting. Something that has kept you bowed, but you couldn't tell what it was. And you find yourself in a forest. You wield a javelin and a shield. You hear the baying of hunting dogs ahead of you. You are not in Skyholm, but on the border, where the green valleys and hills of Abjor meet the mountains of the floodplains. On an outing with your family, helping your father serve the Fallow family. You can smell it ahead. That rich scent of blood. Some game has been captured. The dogs are on the scent.
I run after.
You hold the javelin in your hand. Beside you, other knights, squires, run, trying to be the first to reach whatever it is the dogs have found, to take the winning blow to be celebrated at the feast that night. A place at the table. You know your father rides behind on horseback with more knights, taller than you, their armor larger than yours, shining and polished, dressed with epaulets. Through the trees, you begin to see the pounding feet, wagging tails of these hunting dogs, your own blood rushing to meet the pace of your feet. And then you see it. A boar. Long tusks. Loud noises as it crashes through the underbrush. You see another squire ahead of you chasing after it. What do you do?
Run as fast as I fucking can.
You are more determined, have more fueling you. You know your father's pride, as well as you know his wrath and his expectations. You quickly outpace this younger boy, leaving him behind. You see one of the dogs has got his jaws around the creature's hind leg now, throws it into a tree, and the boar lets out a loud squeak noise of pain. Raise your javelin. And as you bring it down, the sound of that shriek of pain of the boar is sort of replaced in the memory, switched in, with a different cry of pain. A human cry of pain. And you hear, in the distance, someone shout. A man's voice, throaty and loud. The excitement of what you've done here is washed away by a sense of dread because you, as you are remembering, know how the memory ends. Stepping through the trees, you see your father and a group of knights surrounding a kneeling man with a spear driven through his shoulder and into the ground, holding him in place. He has in his hands a large chest. He is bleeding, dripping onto it. Your father dismounts his horse. You are holding this pig. Its warm blood running down your shirt, covering your armor. As you see your father kick this man's head back with such force, you hear something snap. Shouting in the memory. Where did you get this? Where did you come from? Why are you trying to cross the border? What weapons do you have? Where do you come from? What is your name? Echoed by the other knights. Pulls the spear out. Your own spear drops from your hand. Kicks him again. The chest goes scattering. You see gems falling into the underbrush. So many. Diamonds. Blood-covered diamonds. Your father says, "Where did you get these? Where did you get these?" The man, despite the pain in his shoulder, his broken nose, starts laughing. It's a panic reaction, you can tell. It's fear. Your father turns to you. He says, "Put that down."
Drops the boar immediately.
He beckons you.
I come forward.
Matthias,
Yes.
take care of this.
Looks down to the man and all the gems on the ground. Do you want me to carry it back?
No. Matthias. Do you know where gems like these come from?
just looks between the case and his dad with you can see the like gears turning in his head as he tries to come up with an answer.
Temples, Matthias.
Temples.
Gems like these are reserved for healing. This man has robbed a temple and is trying to flee into Skyhome. He chokes something out through his laughter. He goes, but another knight steps on his face and pushes it into the ground. Your father says, Matthias, as a fallow knight, it is your duty to protect our country. Take care of this.
He backtracks and picks up that javelin. Chest heaving, looks at his father and looks at the man on the ground with his face pressed into the dirt, and looks at all of the knights and everyone looking at him, and his chest is rising and falling quickly. And he adjusts his grip on the javelin, hesitantly draws it back, adjusts his grip again, and still hesitates.
Do not disappoint this family.
And stabs the javelin down into the man's neck.
Mm-hmm. It's over quickly. The knights around you give you this moment, knowing what it means. Your father gives you a gift, something you've seen only rarely, a small quirk of his lip, a smile of pride. Nods. Gestures to one of the other squires to pick up or kill this boar. And as you step away from this scene, you hear running footsteps coming up to you. You are covered in blood. You see a boy of, I think, only 8 or 9 at this point. Golden hair. Smile at you. Your brother Emil. He holds out to you a small bird with an arrow in it through its neck. He says, Matthias, look. I killed something. I did it. Do you think Father will be proud of me?
Just looks at the bird. And then, let's go show him, Emil.
Okay.
And kind of like puts himself between the body and his little brother and is going to push him forward. Away.
That memory fades away from you. You can remember the very end of the ritual as it is also pulled into the jar, the weight that comes off of your shoulders that now rests on it again. And you open your eyes to the inside of the retrieval crypt.
Even faster this time, snap the jar closed, probably honestly just lets it fall to the floor, and stands and moves to the next one, doesn't pause at all, picks it up, sits down, and flips it open.
But half an hour at this point, Vice is still sitting on the tombstone, looking over. You move so quickly that you don't get a chance to hear as she opens her mouth to say something like, "Are you all right?" before the memory takes you again. This time, you are younger. Probably 10, maybe 9 or 10. It's hard to say because you don't exactly remember how your body felt or looked at this period. All you know is the confidence with which you walk, the sense of familiarity. This time, in the memory, you are tired. Your body aches. You walk through the crypt, through the chambers, and it is late. And your mother is not with you. You are guided by a lumen who is familiar to you. Lady Tonga. She speaks to you briefly, prays over you in that same manner. Consecrated, sanctified. Candles around you. This memory, the first thing you feel is sunlight on your skin. The genuine warm pleasure of putting your body through motions that are becoming more and more familiar to it. You are training. White sand scatters at your feet, surrounded by more knights, but not the ones that your father accompanies on missions. No. Ones who are 4 or 5 or 6 years older than you at this point. Gangly teens, whipped into shape. Crossing swords, trading blows, but all joyful, smiling, cracking jokes. Your brethren. You see a strong young woman with her hair pulled up into a ponytail give you a thumbs up as you strike a blow through a mannequin. A hush falls over these knights for a moment as, stepping out from a series of low buildings, you see your father, some of his companions, and Sir Fallow himself, dressed resplendent in the same colors of the house, blues and whites, with nothing but a gleaming silver breastplate, a sword at his back.
Smiles at the girl as he deals that finishing blow, and then as he sees them approaching, will give a shout to the folks on the training field to sort of fall in. I'm sure there's some sort of parade rest that is traditional when the Fallow family arrives, or when one of the sirs or the sirs' direct relatives are coming through, and so he will give a shout and then fall in line with everyone else.
Backs straighten, chins go up, weapons are held at sides. Despite the fact that you are one of the youngest here, everyone expects that it is you who calls this. They know who you are. The Lord and your father walk down the line. You hear a slight chuckle from someone a few people over. It's your brother Malachi. He's laughing and nudging another boy. Again, he is young, Matthias. Probably the youngest here. You are 10, he's likely 8. But he's snorting to himself like he's made some kind of joke trying to get the other boy to laugh. You see your father approaching.
I flick my eyes down, and then seeing that it's him, just give a little hiss through the teeth to like get his attention. And like just shake my head.
Gives you a look, peering out so we can make eye contact. And you hear a from Abram as he stops in front of you.
Sir.
How is your training going?
Excellently.
I am glad to hear that. I'm sure my son will make you proud, he says to the Lord. And Sir Fallow nods at you.
I give a deeper bow and just like, it's my honor, sir.
You hear, with that sense of dread, again, because you know how this ends, another chuckle. And then there's a clattering noise as Malachi drops his sword, which he has not sheathed, falls to the ground, scrapes down another boy's boot, and he goes, "Ah! Gah!" As the sharp edge of the blade, who gives an 8-year-old a sharpened sword, but the sharpened edge of the blade scrapes him. You could hear a pin drop in the silence that follows. Malachi is not laughing. Your father steps over to him. Pick that up. Yes, sir. Malachi. Yes, sir. You have not taken care with your weapon. No, sir. Matthias,
Sir.
step forward.
He does so.
Lord Fallow. I would like to show you the progress my sons have been making. Line up. Points towards a combat area that's set aside.
There's a moment of confusion, but he doesn't hesitate.
You and your brother square off. 2 raised, sharpened swords. The other knights ring in a semicircle around you. You see Malachi is looking towards you, maybe trying to crack a smile or something. He's obviously nervous, but
Just
maybe reassuring you or looking for reassurance.
Matthias's face is like, he's trying to communicate, don't, like, stop smiling, don't do anything weird, no laugh, like, just trying to communicate, like, just stop fucking around. Yeah.
Your father says, positions.
Sir?
Positions. Dueling positions.
Move into a dueling position.
Your brother, Malachi, falls into the position a moment after you do, but it's clumsy. The movement isn't sharp or practiced. He is a young boy. Your father raises his hand, looks towards his lord, back to you and your brother, and he says, fight.
Matthias will step forward and swing very slowly. I'm sure that there are different levels. Maybe this is like sparring, just training, practice, assuming that this is what his father means.
Both you and your brother and other squires in training here among the Fallow Knights have a series of drills that you've gone through, certain motions, different attack patterns that are countered by different defense patterns that you'll run through over and over, which you have done with your brother before. You swing slowly, he's supposed to bring a shield up or deflect it with his blade. He doesn't know this, even though he's young. So you telegraph for him a move, he blocks it pretty effectively. Your father clears his throat. I said, fight.
Looks between his father and Malachi and says, just watch my blade, and is going to move a little bit faster, but still pull his punch as he comes back around in the following steps of the form.
He catches it at the last second, but you can see his hands are shaking on the blade now. He has to step away from the movement. It's clumsy. He says, Dad? Your father steps over. And he says, leaning down, lowering his voice, so the two of you can hear it. To Malachi. If you don't learn, you will never be more than the second son of my house. Your father, Abram, has never laid a hand on you, Matthias, nor your brothers. But he does not need to. He steps back again. He says one more time, fight like you mean it. Show me that you are a Fallow Knight, and he is looking at you and not your brother.
Look back to Malachi. And then there's this moment of communication between them. Mm-hmm. And then his lip curls in physical effort as he hefts the sword again and swings back around with full speed and begins to truly attack his little brother.
It's over in less than 2 minutes. You've knocked him to the ground, beaten and battered. Haven't hurt him too badly, but the fact that you've cut him is enough, you can tell. See it in his eyes. He stands up and he says, Sir.
And chest heaving, Matthias will turn back to his father and where he can see the sir over his shoulder and will bow at the waist.
The Lord is looking away with disinterest. Your father gives you a nod. And begins to, once again, talk to some of the other knights, discuss how their training is going, leaving your brother there in the salt and the sand to pick himself back up. And the memory fades. And you are back in the crypt.
That's enough. I let the vial drop.
It shatters once again.
And I stand and just look back at everyone. I'm finished here. And he's gonna start to make a move towards the door.
You do know, as you have acquired these memories, these vials did not just contain these single memories. You gave up more than that each time that you dropped them off here. Before and after, they are bookended by smiling moments and sunny moments. Moments with your brother, with your mother, even with your father. Banquets, dancing, celebration. But they're not the ones that stick in your mind. They are comforts. And although they settle into place just as rightly as any puzzle piece, there's that bittersweet feeling you get, knowing now that at the end of each ritual, good or bad, the memory that you had given up leaves you feeling woozy and blank. That in asking you to pray to the maiden martyr as your mother did, she was asking you to cut out parts of yourself that have now been stitched back together.
Wish the entire time has been sitting about 5 feet away and has just been staring very intently at this ritual. But when Matthias goes to stand, just doesn't make any comment and stands silently to follow.
Same for Kiara.
No concern on their face necessarily, more of a intense interest.
Watches, but between it, looks around at the vials and see if there's any names she recognizes.
Will you give me investigation, Barton?
Sure. Whew. Oh, that's only a 7.
The memories that you see here mostly are Markhart and Fallow. And as I've said, a few maybe noble cousins. You see the name Bartow as well on a few of the memories.
Do I recognize that?
Probably a cousin of the Fallow family.
Do we head out? Does anyone have anything they want to do in here?
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm like, I think Matthias is just like, I'm finished here, stands up, doesn't really make eye contact, and just starts walking out, assuming that people will follow.
And you can exit the retrieval chamber of the Forgotten Crypt.
Out we go.
There you go.
Did we want to take another break? Is that a thing?
I think that would be great, actually. Another 5-minute break after that intensity. Thank you guys for watching and bearing with us for that very intense moment. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. So see you again soon.
See you in a minute.
Bye-bye.
Oh boy.
Welcome back from break. Make your way out of the retrieval chambers and the family crypt. Your group, along with Vice and Darren, stepping out here to the open crypt area. See the statue of Lydear again, the candles, the tombs. There are numerous other entrances, like the one that you descended down, stairways that lead down into these rooms. Hard to tell how many dead are laid to rest here, how many memories remain, not just your own. Vice speaks up and she says, "Are we ready to make our way out of here? Is there further business we have?"
I have one more thing I'd like to do.
All right.
But it'll be quite quick. And if you'd like to, you can move ahead and I'll follow.
I will stay with you.
Just a family member. And he will walk to that graveyard, down the rows, find the small plot with the stone that says Lucas, and will kneel and is very still, but mutters a prayer. And then I think he grabbed one of those vials on the way out, and he takes if there's dirt or pebbles or dust, he will grab just a little bit and is going to put it into that vial and swing it closed and then pocket it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll continue.
All right.
And we walk out of here and we go outside. And we did not check to see if there was anyone who was actually alive and around. So
and what's the day look like out here?
Yeah.
Sorry, just before we head out, if Barden can pick up the finger, because I don't think she picked it up on the way when they left.
You did get your finger.
Okay, cool. Just double check.
Well, I think we did, because Kara was wondering if it could be reattached. And all that
I
stuff.
didn't know if we put it down again. Anyway,
Take it into
Just go
jewelry
there,
for
come
you
back.
if you really want to hold on to it.
no.
Okay. Then you make your way out of this dark space. The shadows are still darker here than they might be normally. As you pass by candles, they extinguish behind you. Kiara's daylight spell, long faded yesterday, no longer lights up the corners, so there is still a quiet sense of dread that lingers over you. Some of the cracks have gotten a little bit longer. The pools of ooze and the bone bushes still remain, waving slightly in a wind that you do not feel on your skin. But you step out of this massive, dark cathedral and in, once again, to the city of Leicastle. It is misty today on the 4th day of Neth. Fog drifts around the corners of the dark stone walls of this quiet city.
And one more time, Matthias will say, "I've notified Nomi. I hope that there will be people here soon enough to take care of the rest of this and what... For now, I don't think it's our responsibility. But which way to Lyport?"
We're here in our Roll20. I am pulling this over. Here we go. So we are off of the... Y'all can see it. We are off of the map up here on the upper right-hand corner there is Leicastle. You all traveled from Aethrai to the Tomb Loft, then up to Leicastle. Just giving you a quick little glimpse at that because I'm pulling us over to current version of the world map, which is a work in progress. Got to get back to the artist, but shout out to Neth Korea on Twitter, NETHKARIA, for this, and hopefully it'll be finished soon. And you can see if we zoom in here, Leicastle, right above the sort of red line, we've got the Tomb Loft, Leicastle.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I cleared these.
Is Lieport like over here by the coast?
Right there.
Got it.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So the two main ports that you know of that you were thinking of traveling to would either be Lieport right there or Rayland up here.
Pretty far.
I think
So
we
you'd
should
either be going like that or like this, probably. The closest place that you would be get to would be Salarand over there, or the Order, which is up in here. Yep.
That's where the Order is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we wanted to stop by there. So
Nice that way.
I think that we should go to Lieport. I think it would be good to be in an established town. And we can...
Preferably one that's not quite so foreboding.
One that hasn't been sacked. Yes. We can gather us the rest of what we need there, and then we move northwest, and we can move into the Order from there. Anybody have a reason to go further north to Rayland?
Not in particular, as long as we are crossing the Kvekdal and I can make my way back to the Order. I am staying with you, so.
Then Lieport it is. Gonna roll up that map.
Okay. As you step back down the Isle of Dawn, the main street of Leicastle,
Kiara is, since they can do this at will, just throwing some detect magic up as we're walking.
Nice. Kiara, the cathedral that you leave behind still stinks slightly of necromancy. The rose garden that what was a rose garden but is now decaying, you step through as you exit the Temple of the Forgotten, also stinks slightly of necromancy, but that aura fades once you get a decent way away from the cathedral.
Can I be a little spicy?
Sure.
You get a little ping of necromancy off of Awaish now, too.
Oh. Kiara, I think the only response Kiara has is, as they're looking around, checking things out, the ping, there's like a small double take, but since she hasn't told anybody what she's doing, can't really tell why.
Mm-hmm.
I think as they pass through the fog and they start leaving, Bun just sort of more mutters to herself than anything else. It's just like, feels strange to end the story like this, doesn't, leaving it dark.
Life isn't stories. Sometimes you escape while you can.
True enough.
I think
Didn't expect Oish to hear that. It's like shit.
They got good hearing.
I think I'd be walking next to Barden. And if Oasis,
If I didn't hear it, it's fine.
No, it's just very funny.
You have a feat, so
I do have a feat.
That's fine. You heard it. Yes, Taz.
assuming Taz heard that since I'm next to you, and then heard OH, Taz would say, "Life is nothing but stories with strange and dangerous endings."
Actually unsatisfying.
Wish just throws a middle finger behind them.
This is all very deeply depressing, and I would like it to stop. Thank you.
So takes Kiara's hand. Takes Kiara's hand with the pinkyless one. And gently, pulls her along.
You walk down. You walk down the island.
Oh,
Yes.
Go ahead. It's fine. It's fine.
No, it's all right.
The only thing she would say is, "I miss when all I had to do was practice my resting murder face."
Excellent. You see people out on the street.
Oh,
That's all I needed. That's all I wanted to say. The entire town isn't dead. It is the morning. As you make your way down, the last thing you hear from the Temple of the Forgotten is another long, distant bell ringing. As it hits dawn, faces peek out, doors open. Not necessarily on the main streets, but you just see some people looking out. You don't recognize any lumen if you're looking for them. None of them here. But as the six of you make your way down the streets, the mists begin to lift just a little bit.
I would love to stop and
rises.
ask anyone if they know what happened. Just stop somewhere and say, "Can you tell me what happened here?"
Mm-hmm. It is a young teenager woman dressed neatly, blouse, skirts, apron, who you see just sort of like looking around a corner down the long main street. You've passed the courtyard, the fountain courtyard where you had seen the first lumen. When you approach her, she skitters back a little bit nervously, but seeing the group of you walking down the street as the mists lift, she doesn't turn or flee, anything like that. What happened here? Something happened in the temple.
Did you see anything?
We didn't see anything. We just heard a lot of very unpleasant noises. Screaming. Some people came out the entrance, but most of them collapsed after they had fled. Sir Lykar sent in some knights, some line knights, to see if they could help, but they didn't come back out.
Good Lord. We arrived yesterday. We didn't see anybody in the streets. Were you hiding?
A few. Yes, we were hiding. It's been a few days, and strange things would come out of the cathedral at night.
Very smart. I've contacted some people who I hope will be able to come in and help.
That is very appreciated. Did you all come from there? The temple?
We just left it.
What was inside?
You were wise to stay inside your homes.
Is it still dangerous to go out at night, do you think?
I would avoid it until someone comes to help. Just in case.
Thank you.
He just drops his head in acknowledgement.
Looks to the rest of you guys and seems to take note of your faces. Thank you.
Welcome.
Turn my face away a little bit. Don't recognize me. Fuck you.
Stay safe.
Your face away.
And gonna turn and continue on.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
You
Taz is still covered in blood. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just remember this.
Yep.
It's red.
You guys look interesting.
We need a costume change.
We look wrecked.
And a bath.
You make your way out of the main sort of citadel area of Leicastle. And there are actually other boats now. Your boat arrived late in the evening, and then you made your way directly into the temple. It was probably only an hour, again, because the daylight spell, maybe a little bit longer than an hour between when you docked at Leicastle and midnight when you guys started to go to sleep after that. So that is another reason why there, again, were not people out at night in this area. You see farmers, a few ships that are docking here. Leicastle is located right on the edge of these lower floodplains. There is a steady trail of caravans that are making their way out of one of the gates of the city. You can see in the distance again as the mists are slightly dispersed by the sunlight, that are traveling away from the city and towards where you know the coast is, sloping up towards a gap in the mountains here on the edge of Skyholm.
Head along the road towards Lyport, baby.
Road again.
All right. Is there anything anyone would like to do before we close off our episode here and begin our next leg of travel?
Not till later in the day.
Okay. Then with your horse and cart carrying your goods, you fall into that long line of travelers making their way towards the Kvekdal Ocean. And that is where we will leave this episode. Fantastic. Thank you guys all for watching. Gonna give another shout out to One More Multiverse. You can join us over at discord.gg/multiverse to chat about episodes, to get some clips and talk to us a little bit. You can also find our past episodes on YouTube. Total Party Kiss, that's where all of our VODs and past episodes are uploaded. Big shout out to Soundtail for our incredible music. Thank you for the vibes. They are very, very spooky. Also want to say keep an eye on our Twitter for updates. Total Party Kiss, follow us there. Hitting like, subscribe, following us on different platforms is a really great way to support us if you like the content that we're making. Anything else I should add?
Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we need a couple more subscribers to be able to get our own custom URL.
Yeah.
We want URL.
Exciting. Get over there.
Get over there. Thank you all for watching. I know it was an intense episode, so we're going to go do some safety work and self-care, and I hope all of you guys who are watching will also do the same. Take care of yourselves, and we love you very much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.